delivers. But with Fable, it's like you can see where they wanted to go with it. And you're like, yes, I applaud you for trying because, wow, that was a good idea. Didn't stick the landing 100%, but it was close. So you can like fill in the gaps. And I think that's where like the older games kind of work to the advantage because like they don't look as good as games can look nowadays, but your imagination fills in the gaps. And I'm like, I don't know, sometimes leading things to imagination like that is all right.
Do you think if they ever made Half-Life 3, we'd get a Gary's Mod 2?
I mean, couldn't there be a Gary's Mod? Is Gary's Mod Source 2 updated? Is that the way? I don't even know anything about that.
God, I don't even know. I haven't thought about Gary's Mod in ages.
I know, but that was one we used to make content all the time, play around and screw around in.
Of course, people still play it all the time.
I'm not in a minute, but JP and I were doing the horror maps. We were going back and still playing Gmod horror maps and new horror maps that have been coming out. But they just, a lot less people are working on it, so you get a lot less content now than obviously you did 10 years ago. But like, it's still around, still exists, you can still play it, but it's less things are made than used to be.
There is no Gary's Mod on Source 2 engine, but there is a game called Sandbox, S and per Sandbox, which is a Source 2 thing.
I forgot that it's the studio that made Gary's Mod that made Rust. I forgot that was also their thing.
Hey, Rust is one of those that helped me blow up way back in the day on YouTube, and then they took out the zombies, and I don't know what it became, but man, it was toxic, but God, it got more toxic.
It's custom Rust servers, contemporary custom Rust servers are fun because like I played on one for a while a couple years ago where a friend and I opened a car dealership where we made a huge building. We had our own wind turbine power sources. It was like a huge multi-story complex, and then we would just go out and get salvage cars from the map, bring them back, fix them up, and then try and sell. We functioned as a car dealership.
There were cars in Rust now?
Yeah, there are cars, and they're all modular. You get a chassis, and the length of the chassis determines how many like sections you can have. But you can have like, you need an engine, but then you can have like an armored compartment, or you can have like like a truck bed type thing. That was fun, but that was like a role play server. That wasn't fun because it was Rust. That was fun because we were operating a car dealership in a world filled with people who were all just trying to murder each other in the most extreme way as possible.
All right, well, that's gonna do it, unless like so you guys have last minute things. That was a good discussion. I enjoyed that, and not having a whole lot's fine, Bob. I feel like I said, a lot of people just want new IPs anyway, but you gave some good suggestions. Bob, you ended up with 5, 10, 15, 16 points total.
Doesn't sound like a lot.
One of those came from, I marked creepy point. I don't remember what you said it was creepy, but you got
we were talking about the sniffing and stuff.
Okay, well, you got a creepy point for that. You lost 3 points to lens discussion, so you went from 16 to 13.
3?
Yeah. So 13 points was your final.
Okay, well, that's bad.
Mark, I had you at 5, 10, 15, 18 points. You also lost 3 points to lenses.
Okay.
And then you lost 2 impatience points for me, and then another impatient point for tolerating being patient for Bob, but not me. So you lost 6 total, which brings you to 12. Yeah, you were doing great, Mark, and then you were impatient whenever I was talking, and you're like, I got a game, let me talk. And then when Bob went to talk, you're like, oh, Bob, I can wait. And that made me even more upset, so I penalized you for it.
I humbly apologize for not being patient with you, and I just want to say that I'm sorry for my actions and how they have impacted you, and I will try to be better in the future.
I marked N Ice TRY. Bob, you win.
Hey!
Oh, I couldn't tell what you said. I was very confused.
Yeah.
All right, whatever. I think my delayed outrage isn't gonna land this nicely.
Mark can spell.
Yeah, so I guess, Bob, you go first with your winner's speech.
It feels good to win. What?
Give me a point. Give me a point.
What? It's not focused. So
Give
Give me the point. I'm warning you.
Or you're gonna.
Oh, it's a shotgun microphone. I see. I get it.
Oh,
I get it.
I thought it was just like a little plastic like basket. Okay, that's a lot more threatening now that I know it's a shotgun mic.
I thought it was like a slingshot. That would have been really.
Yeah, that would have gotten you.
Yeah, if you'd shot your lens, I would have been. I might have given you the point.
Okay, well.
Destroy your lens, Mark. Do it. Destroy it.
Oh no!
Specifically the one from Jesus.
Anyway, yeah, it feels good to win, even though I engaged in lens talk like an absolute loser. Thank you for taking pity on me, and congratulations to myself. I'm the best.
Well said. Mark, loser speech brought to you by. Is it brought to you by anyone today?
I don't know. Is it?
I don't think so.
Never mind.
Well, either way, I think this just goes to show that apologies never work, so never apologize for anything. Be bold, be brash, and go forward in life without ever apologizing to Wade.
I disagree. I think your apology made me feel better, and I appreciate your apology. You just don't get to be rewarded for doing something bad then apologizing for it. You just get forgiven.
Anyway, matter about lenses. I'm going to use this time as my loser speech.
That's all the time we have. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you haven't already, mute Markiplier, and you can find him at Markiplier. You can find Bob at MyScrim, me at Minion777 or Lord Minion777. Merch, it's coming, so don't hold your breath, but do keep an ear and an eye out. However, if you're in your car, keep both eyes on the road.
What you should do is you should go to store.distractablepodcast.com and just spam refresh. Just
Yeah, it'll pop up eventually.
That'll definitely help merch appear faster. Stay tuned for the next one where Bob will host. I'm sure he's got something great for us. And until then, podcast out.
Good evening, gentle listener, and welcome to Distractable. This episode, Barbarous Bob floats the big question, talks ET voyeurs, quantum quackery, and synthetic servers. Macrocosmic Mark shows his liquids, praises the priests of Mars, and goes deep into dark holes. Welcoming Wade, the true glue of his group, could be Truman or a pea person. From career fairs to demystifying reality, yes, it's time for We are the main characters. Now sit back and prepare to be distracted and enjoy the show.
Hello and welcome to another episode of your favorite podcast, probably your favorite show, definitely your favorite pastime, and hopefully not your favorite thing to listen to while driving. This is Distractable, where the points are carefully tracked and matter as much as they always have. According to the bylaws and or constitution of the show, we now have to do that. And I do, you know what, I didn't even get it out in preparation for being. I do have my notebook. This is my official judge's notebook where I take my official judgy notes. But before we get into the part that counts for points, actually, that's not true. This could count for points too. We traditionally do small talk. Do my job for me.
Me.
It's like Wade wants to go first.
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you. So I recently got to go to a high school career day. Well, not high school. I guess it was not high school. It was 3rd to 6th grade, which I don't know what that's called. It's not elementary school, but maybe it's middle school. But I got to go to a career day. I had a classmate of ours that invited me to go down, and I was like, yeah, sure, I'll do that. I talked to probably 100 kids or so, somewhere in that range, maybe 200. I don't know how many it was. It was a lot. I brought in one of the You're Welcome posters, and I brought in some of our Distractable figurines just to have something to display on the case, because like they were like, oh, bring in some posters of what you do, bring it. And I was like, man, I guess I've got some of that stuff.
Posters?
Yeah, I don't know, I guess for some of the career days.
We have one of the few jobs that actually we would have a poster of what who kind of a businessman has a poster?
Well, so I think what they meant was like, so the tables, like a lot of the companies had like Duke Energy was there. They had like the tablecloth that had like their branding on it. And then they had like different things on their table. They gave away like cups that had like the Duke Energy label and stuff on there. So they had like branded things, because not all, companies, I guess, do this more often. They go to like different career days and different things, different events. So they've got like displays to be like, this is what we are. Whereas me, it was like, I guess I could bring my like half empty bottle of water, a pair of underwear, and a mouse and keyboard. But
that's
like,
not good. That's not good. -1.
I brought in the poster, and I brought in some of our figurines. The kids came up and they were like, oh my God, you're a YouTuber? And like all of them, I asked them what they wanted to do. Like, I want to be a YouTuber. There were 2 that had like interesting things. There was one that was like,
They had interesting things.
Damn.
it was all like, well, it was all like YouTuber or like,
Harsh, man.
it was
Wow.
all very, it was bad. It was our good job. Don't do that. It was terrible.
I like my job. Wait, what?
Never in my life had I heard someone say they want to be a professional billiards player. That was fascinating. That was a fascinating answer.
Okay, that is bold. That's bold. I do like that.
Yeah, he was like, yeah, my dad has this thing. We go and play billiards. And he was telling me the different types of like billiards you can play. Something like 9-ball versus 8-ball, which I already knew. But like, I let him explain it to me because he was whatever, like 9 or 10 years old. And he was passionate about it. Was just interesting seeing a kid that passionate about playing pool. Yeah, everyone came up. They're like, you're a YouTuber? I was like, yeah. They're like, what games do you play? And I was like, oh, lately I've been playing like Lethal Company. I've played some Phasmophobia. I've played Gary's Mod, Rust. I've played all these games over the years. And they're like, Fortnite? I mean, I've played Fortnite. Yeah, I've played a couple times.
Do you crank 90s?
As soon as I said I didn't play Fortnite regularly, 95% of them done. Mark, there were, so with you, I had our posters, our figurine. I would say, Mark, 15% of them recognized you, but 85% of these kids, it was Fortnite, Call of Duty, or don't give a shit. So I just want you to know that our communities are growing up and getting older.
Good.
We no longer have the market on 3rd to 6th grade.
Dude, you just said I got 15% recognizability. That's a fucking, you know how much that is?
If it was, so you got recognized obviously more than I did or Bob did. Some people knew who all 3 of us were. I would still say it was less than I expected, because typically whenever we go out, like a lot of people know who you are, and especially like gaming, people in the gaming sphere.
15% of the human population is 1 billion people.
Yeah, well, that's an interesting example, right? Because when we go to a PAX or something, people go to PAX because they are fans of people like us or things that we do, even if they don't know who we are. You were at a normal career fair that was just generally people, kids, but you were the YouTuber at the fair, so you probably had a higher occurrence of people, kids who know about YouTube or whatever. That is pretty high.
For people that were so obsessed with gaming and YouTubers in general, it was just interesting. Cause I don't know, like, I don't know if streaming's bigger than video games on YouTube. I don't really know the layout of the land. I don't keep track of it anymore. But you're still one of like the largest gaming creators as far as like subs and stuff, right? Like you're still up there.
That's me, baby.
So for all these people to be obsessed with YouTubers and only be able to name the same 3 like Fortnite creators was like, oh no, the Fortnite genre has ruined an entire generation of children.
Can you remember who they said I am? I'm curious, was it all like Nick A30 or something?
One common name, I think it was something like Sweat or Sweet or something like that.
Is this someone literally named Sweat?
I think so. I might be wrong. But like they would talk to me about Fortnite creators, and I was kind of like, kid, as bored as you are with what I do, I'm more bored about you talking to me about Fortnite.
I hope you said that.
I did in my head, and probably with my eyes. I mean, they were cool. They were fun. It was fun to talk to them and tell them stuff. It's weird because like I caution people. I'm like, if you guys want to do like what we do, like anyone can do it, but maybe treat it as a hobby. Don't go all in and think like, I don't need an education. I'm just gonna play video games. It's like maybe, you know, have some backup plans just in case, because it's hard to make money. I think only like the top whatever percent actually make a career's worth of income from doing this. So you could do it, but like you can also play basketball without thinking you're gonna make the NBA. Like you can just have a fun hobby that maybe takes off and becomes a job.
Yeah, I recommend TikTok to people more nowadays. Not that you can't start with YouTube, but TikTok's barrier to entry is a lot easier because the standard for quality of YouTube videos is higher, generally speaking. But with TikTok, like the level of quality is phone recordings and phone editing, and it's great. That's great to get started into it. So oftentimes I find myself recommending that more. Or YouTube Shorts. Right, guys?
But 3rd to 6th grade, I just encourage. I was like, you know what? Do it. Go for it. Like, I wasn't gonna bust a bunch of bubbles for 3rd to 6th graders. It was like, you guys want to be a YouTuber, you go for it. When they're older, they want to do it. That's when I give the right advice.
I mean, it sounds like you just shat all over them. You said there was 2 people that like YouTubers and all these other interesting kids with actual careers that they were going for, and then, oh yeah, fuck you, kid. You don't know who you like Fortnite. Fuck you.
In my head, man, by the end of the day, I was like, they really need a Fortnite creator in here because, like, God, they don't care about it. Like, they don't know any of the games I'm talking about. Because Gary's Mom is such a big one, but I mean, that was 10 years ago. So someone's 10 years old now. They're like, what is that? And it's like,
I mean, I hadn't thought of Gary's Mod until you mentioned it.
I can't remember the last time I've loaded Gary's Mod for any particular reason. It's been a minute.
I mean, that's fair. It's just that's such a big part of our content creation history as the 3 of us.
That's the past. We're getting older.
True. But like, I thought Lethal Company was huge right now, and I think it is. But like, a lot of them have never heard of that, which is, you know, they're younger, so that's fair.
Compared to Fortnite, that's just the thing about what is actually popular and the numerical differences between them. Lethal Company is popular like amongst our circle and the people that watch this type of content, but it is like a horror base. Horror is a sub-genre of gaming. Whereas like Fortnite was big that it was almost all encompassing of gaming. Like everyone who played a game knew about Fortnite. That was how big it was.
Oh, I get it. It's just hard for me to relate because I didn't play a lot of it. And these kids are, I mean, Call of Duty, sure, and Battlefield, some of those they talked about, but like...
Yeah, those have been around long enough that they have legacy names, yeah.
So Fortnite was the big one that a lot of them knew about, but like, I don't know. It was interesting getting that perspective because like, we have our thoughts about nostalgia of our childhood gamings and stuff. And it's like, for these kids, Fortnite is and was their childhood. And that's like, I hadn't wrapped my head around that until like meeting all of them.
Mark, how are you?
Yeah, in non-gaming news, this nerd over here taking up all our time, I got something to show you. That's the kind of news that I got. Editors, hit the music. What if we're all living in a simulation? I turned around and it was water? So you ate a hot dog? No, it was simulations. All right, anyway, is that good enough? Editors, make that into a good thing.
I don't think they speak Mark. I don't know if that's... I'd love to see what... I will enjoy seeing what that turns into.
Anyway, look at this. Look at it.
Are they making a chili cheese coney?
Yeah, is that ketchup or blood or chili?
It looks very diarrhea-y, but like kind of chili can too.
I can tell you're not impressed. Watch this.
Oh, cool.
Okay, it's filling up. Why are they pouring such wet liquid over their macaroni?
Well, you know, they just... All right, how about this?
That's pretty cool, I think. Mark, I don't know if Wade and I have the technical knowledge or skills to appreciate what you're trying to show us right now. Listeners who aren't watching, there's a bunch of liquids like gooshing all over a bunch of random shit.
The splash. Okay, I didn't appreciate the splash. Seeing the splash, that's pretty cool.
I started with the bad examples. He was goofing on this live stream towards the end. So I've been following this for like a couple weeks now because this is actually an exciting new development in terms of like physical simulations. I'm sure all of you guys have seen physical simulation videos where it's like the bread ripping apart or fluid physics or ocean waves. And it's fun because it's like cool to see and it's like, whoa, that's really cool. This is real time. This is playing not pre-baked, not pre-rendered. He's changing the parameters on the fly and being able to create these liquid simulations. And the thing about it is, you might be like, okay, but it looks like blocky and stuff. But the thing is, you can take that data, fine-tune the look of it, then simulate it to have realistic lighting afterwards. So what it does is it allows a lot more iterations to occur to fine-tune it. Whereas like with liquid simulations, and given that like Iron Lung, a lot of blood, most of it's practical, occasionally will need a little bit of liquid sims. So I'm starting to know more about this. And what it means is that you can iterate upon your liquid simulations and physical simulations a lot faster, but also from a technological standpoint, the ability to do real-time liquid simulations is such a fascinating new thing, because you've got liquid sims in games.
These last few were so much like that. That's awesome to watch the water on that move.
I know, yeah. I said this is the beginning of the live stream. I went to the end where he was shit posting just with random bullshit.
Yeah, I was gonna say the chili dog was kind of like, oh, that's so cool, man.
Oh no, he started with mac and cheese. He started with it. Ah!
Oh, okay. Ew.
I love simulations and I love seeing technology, kind of that part of like watching gaming tech demos where you're like, oh, the technology is progressing. This is a big leap. Some engines can do real time, liquid sim. Obviously, it's trying to render at the same time. It's pixelated and going slower. If you do the high fidelity rendering, I don't know why Henry and Chica are barking. There's probably a delivery, but it's okay. But you can see the ability to do this real time. Computer hardware has advanced, and everyone's like, oh, AI is so incredible. This is not AI based. This is, or I don't know, maybe it's got some neural network stuff in there, but it's able to do this live. And like, that means that this technology is starting to get to the point where your games nowadays, games will be able to have like incredibly realistic water. There's Sea of Thieves has like a really nice ocean. It looks beautiful, but it can't do these big like splashes that are physically accurate. Like, imagine if...
No, it's like a stylized ocean still. It's beautiful because it's artistic, not because it's accurate.
Absolutely. But imagine if water, like your boat tipped to the side in a storm, water splashed up and pushed you off the ship. Like, that's the kind of level of interaction that can occur in it if it can be done in real time like this. And those are the kind of things that like open up the door for new experiences. Also in terms of like, making movies, like the tools for people to be able to access them. And this guy probably has a great computer to do this. You probably still need a high-end computer. But the fact that you can do it at all, it's crazy. And what it's showing you is a lower frame rate than what it is. It actually is like smooth, but it's just like...
It also seems like he's experimenting with different... Is viscosity the right word? The like thickness of the liquid?
That's literally one of the parameters. He can tune the viscosity, like the stickiness.
Yeah, because it seems like some of these waters, I was like, okay, it looks a little thick, but then like we just saw the couple other examples where it's like, okay, that's water. But then the mac and cheese, like you definitely tell the cheese that was hitting differently than like the liquid mac soup.
Yeah, absolutely. And like the rendering can work for the caustics of it. There's like, you can get super clear fun stuff. You can render out stuff. So this is called Liquid Gen, and it's by the same people that made Ember Gen, which is a real-time explosion and smoke and fire simulation thing. So they extended it and were like, let's do liquid. Why are they still barking? I gotta see what this is. Yeah, they've been barking for a while. 1 second.
All right, yeah. What can we come up with here?
I'm also distracted by watching the green water flow.
What do you want? I feel like you got the best of the last deal. What can you give me?
Granted, you're the host too, so it's hard to... I think every time you're the host this happens, where you're in the position of power.
Well, what can you offer me? I can offer you the win in this episode. Better talk fast.
Fuck, I don't know. What do you want?
Oh,
something you want?
Okay.
Oh, hey, Mark. How's it going?
Hello. All right. There's a dumpster getting delivered, so that was surprising for them. But anyway, so that's basically an interesting development that I thought was cool, because it's like, hey, technology that's not pure AI that's getting advanced. And I'm like, wow, that's fun to actually see.
I hope that it's not like too demanding to have something like that. Because like some of the pirate games, like Skull and Bones just came out, Sea of Thieves, like with a massive amount of water that are in games that are all about being on water, I could see how that would be a problem trying to render that at all times. I'm sure there's ways to do it localized, but like I'm not a developer. I have no idea what goes into that kind of thing, but looks awesome.
I mean, usually it is too intensive. That's basically what it's been for a very long time. Like Unreal Engine can do some very rudimentary liquid. You've seen liquids in games, more AAA games and higher end ones that are able to do things. But yeah, just tech is still progressing. Like things are still getting more powerful. Things are still getting more optimized. It's pretty cool. I like to see it. And these are the kind of things that I would like to see implementations of like neural networks towards, because these are the kind of things that's like, okay, if you can basically, neural networks the way they work now are kind of a compression algorithm. They optimize things. And so you can optimize something by using pre-trained neural networks and pathways like that to replicate certain effects. And like, you can make these things a little bit easier for certain hardware in some contexts, and like it's kind of interesting. Not everything has to be pure math based when it can just be an approximation that is close. Sometimes an approximation that is close is exactly what you need for certain applications.
Good small talk, Mark.
Thanks.
And it wasn't even about a movie or lenses. It was kind of about the movie, but not directly, which I'm going to give you credit for. Very interesting. Also, Mark, you scared the shit out of me because I thought you were literally going to steal my topic for the episode or your small talk. I was going to introduce my topic the same way, the exact same phrase that you said at the beginning of your small talk.
What did I say?
We live in a simulation. So there are a lot of theories, and it's mainly philosophical theories, but there are a lot of theories about how life is a simulation. There are theories about how technology is clearly progressing to the point where theoretically simulating an entire universe on some sort of computational device is within reason, and some more advanced civilization could absolutely be doing that. The simulation hypothesis suggests that it might not even matter whether it is a simulation, that it's basically a simulation of our perception of what's happening, whether it's real. It's complicated, okay? All I know is it feels like we live in a simulation. There are just moments that happen where it's just like, oh, Mandy told me a story. She was traveling and she was in an airport. She was trying to find a quiet place to sit down to like have a sandwich or something before the flight. So she was like wandering down to the gates that are not currently getting used, right? There's always kind of like a quiet part of the airport you can go to unless it's insanely busy. And she wandered away and sat down and was like sitting there eating her food, whatever she had, and realized, she looked up and realized that the thing in front of her, the gate in front of her, had flight information, and it sounded like it was to a city that was made up. It was a flight from a major metropolitan airport to a city that she had never heard of before. And she was like, it just felt like, oh, the simulation ran out of names, right? Like they went through all the big cities and then they were like, oh, just AI generate some more town names. Skilliam's Winton Town, Wifflinburg. And as she was doing this, and she literally said, she was like, I'm not going to Google it. If it is a simulation, they'll just edit the Google so that it's on there. Like, it don't matter. And as she was like debating that internally, where she was like, life is a simulation, a person that she knew came from the wrong direction in the airport and walked up to her and initiated a conversation. Like, you know, in an airport, usually there's like a central part, right? And as you go further out, you get to the edges. She was almost at the very end. And this person walked in from the end of the airport where there wasn't anything. There were no restaurants. There were other gates that were not being used. There was an empty stretch of gates at the airport. And this person just walked in and like walked into her peripheral vision and was like, Mandy? Hey, and like initiate, like it was sent there by the simulation to be like, stop having those thoughts, interrupt her. And she told me the story because she was like, that's weird, right? Like that's not any hard evidence of anything, but that's weird, right? And I feel like I've had experiences like that. And today I want the topic to be, I want you guys to give me evidence, anecdotal or otherwise, empirical if you can find it, evidence that we do in fact live in a simulation. I want to hear your stories.
Never in distractible history have more cars randomly veered off the road than at this very moment as the simulation desperately tries to rein in.
Tyler like half loads into the wall of all of our offices.
Yeah, well,
If the power goes out, if one of our computers crashes, if the recording gets, you know, that's just more proof, okay? That will be proof of the truth.
So to start off, I just want to say I often in airports go towards empty gates because no one's sitting there. I'm being disassociated. Man, I started blurring real quick there. The simulation was like, he's defending the simulation.
Unfocus his eyes, quick.
So basically, I could understand coming from that direction because I often go there because the seats are empty. Why would I go to the gate where I'm gonna be at? I know when they're gonna board. They're gonna tell me I can sit in comfort alone with space at an empty gate if there is one. So I do see how that could be a possibility. Now them coming and seeing them from behind and turn around and go like, oh, know, who knows? Yeah, whatever. So I just want to throw that out first. Like I could see that.
Mark, I'm going to give you a point for defending the simulation because that might mean that you're part of it, in which case I need to kiss a little ass.
Our goal here is to prove we're in a simulation.
I would like you to give me all the evidence you can muster. If it's a story of a thing that happened to you, if it's experiences that you feel like you've seen, you can Google stuff, you can look at empirical. I mean, I don't know that there is any provably empirical evidence, but there are, if you look at the basic info that's out there about the fact that the idea that we live in a simulation. Quantum indeterminacy is a very funny one, and I really like this as evidence. This is one I'm assuming you wouldn't have brought to me, so I'm going to throw this out as an initial one. Quantum indeterminacy is the fundamental randomness that's at the heart of quantum mechanics, where particles only exist in like a state of probability until they're observed, which basically means the universe exists, but until a thing is observed, it doesn't exist in a finite state, I think would be fair to say. And that's how like game engines work, right? That's how simulated worlds work. You only need to render the part that the players are actually interacting with. You don't render the entire world at all times. You render the part that the player can see. The fact that that's a part of our current understanding of like quantum physics and the universe, I feel like cuts really strongly in favor of, well, it's clearly a simulation because it works the same way as video games.
Or is I don't know why I'm taking the stance of the simulation here. That's not as
okay, Mark's part of the simulation, Wade. We need to be careful.
Is it a spillover of like, that's how the universe works, therefore, of course, that's how our simulations that exist in this universe work?
Oh, good point, Mark.
Because like, how else could it in this universe and the constraints they're in? So it's like, it's a little bit of a chicken before the egg because the simulations that we make our computer. And also it's very egotistical of us to go like, our simulations are as sophisticated as the universe because it's all down to probabilities, which it is, but it is a little bit of a reductionist, to say thusly.
So this line of thinking is all going to ultimately culminate in like questioning reality, like down to its very core concepts. Descartes did this, and that's where the phrase "I think, therefore I am" came, because it was like his one thing he could always count on is like, I'm thinking about this, so I'm thinking, therefore I am existing, was like his ground level of, okay, I'm real because I am thinking. However, to Mark and the simulation's point, people have brought into question here. He's like, well, he's making another supposition in that statement. He's saying, I think, therefore I am, which could be a translation error, because what people are saying is actually true is thinking is occurring. We don't know what I means in the sentence, I think, therefore I am. We have to figure out what I is. But thinking of some sort is occurring, but is it thinking by us as individuals or is us as part of the simulation, I guess, is the question. But there is an existence, even whether it's simulation or not, to the point that thinking is occurring. So either the simulation or we something is having these thoughts and these questions are coming up. That's a ground level to start from.
Absolutely, and I feel like there is something to say about that ground level, because that could be a thing of what Bob was saying, like it's collapsing the quantum uncertainty of that thought. By thinking about it, you reduce the probability to a certain variable of like, and then you reach a conclusion. So it's like, I could see how philosophically that quote extends, and that's why even if it was mistranslated, I think the statement "I think therefore I am" has a lot of power for people and has a lot of very clear meaning. But we all know that words are just an approximation of thought anyway. You know, we weren't born with words. Most animals that exist in life don't have words, they have thoughts, but most have thoughts. In a large scheme, would it change something if it was a simulation? Like, would it would change people's perspectives, but on a me level, like if it was a simulation or not doesn't have much sway in terms of like, this is pointless because it's a simulation. And I'm like, well, if you look at it, like, no one really can nail down the meaning of life anyway. Everyone has their own definitions, or maybe they don't have a definition, but some people have a definition. But like, even if it was a simulation, it's kind of the same thing as being religious, right? Because you have like this powerful designer or whatever, the computer that establishes the sandbox of which you live. There's no difference between that and the concept of of religion, or not believing it at all, because it doesn't change the fact that your interaction with the world is established by rules, and those are the rules that we can understand with physics and, you know, the study of sciences. And even our sciences and even mathematics are an approximation of what reality is. It's like words. Our thoughts are chemical reactions and electrical signals. The physics that we approximate in equations and mathematics and numbers they don't know the numbers. It's a translation for meaning's sake, and our words carry that meaning in our interpretation of it. But the interpretation of the universe in a breakdown of mathematical sense doesn't necessarily mean that the reverse is true, and the mathematicals prove that. That's the approximation. It's unidirectional. It's just to translate an understanding. And I say, like, the definition of the word and what language you speak of it, does it really have an impact on the everyday experience?
I think maybe it does. I think the fact that we don't know, like, you know, we are 99, at least I'm pretty sure I'm not in a simulation. But even if I was, I don't know for sure. No matter what I believe, I don't know. And same with religion. Like, religion is faith-based, right? Like, people will say, like, I know God, I've talked to God, but it's a faith thing. Maybe someone has actually experienced that. Maybe that's a real thing. As someone who's not super religious, I wouldn't rule it out. What's the term for?
Are you saying you're agnostic?
Like, it could be out there, sure. Like, you know, that's fine. But I think there's a difference in that versus a fact of knowledge. If I know I'm in a simulation and I know there's no God, or that God is just the person who made the simulation, like, if I know these things for sure, there's no longer like I get to choose what I believe. It's just that is how it is. So, like,